Is the world afraid of China? Looks like it is. The world has allowed China to draw new red lines. Case in point, Operation Dragon Net. It is a chilling story of how China has been allowed to toss global criminal justice out of the window. The story stars the Chinese police going after people in foreign countries, showing up at their doorsteps, threatening them, intimidating them, torturing them, and putting them on the next flight back to China. This story is about China setting up illegal police stations in your country. But what's more scary is that your country knows about it, but it is looking the other way. Which is the very reason we are once again being forced to ask whether the world is scared of China. The answer remains the same, and it's a complete resounding yes. Look around you, and you may find an illegal Chinese police station in your neighborhood. At least 102 of them have sprung up in 53 countries. This is according to a Spanish NGO, Safeguard Defenders. What do these police stations do? They police the Chinese expats in your country, but most importantly, they quote-unquote persuade Chinese citizens to return home. I say quote-unquote because this persuasion is not the kind you may be imagining. It does not involve a friendly chat over a cup of coffee or any kind of honey trap. The Red Police harasses people, threatens them, and intimidates them until they return to China. Say you're a Chinese citizen living in Italy. Agents of this illegal police force will show up at your doorstep, follow you around until you get on that flight back to China. Think of this force as assassins on the state payroll, except they do not assassinate you, they just send you back to China to meet your fate, whatever that may be. So what happens once you return to China? You disappear. Like the factory worker who returned to China after 12 years in Italy. He was accused of misappropriation. The Red Police abroad hounded him till he went back. No one knows what happened after that. Operation Dragon Net is as much about monitoring the Chinese diaspora abroad as it is about going after dissidents. At least 230,000 people have been quote-unquote persuaded to return. Some of these were people named in Operation Fox Hunt. It is a campaign set up by none other than Xi Jinping. The idea is to pursue corrupt officials who fled China. Operations have been carried out in Spain, Serbia, among others. But here's the problem. China can't do what it is doing. We understand that the dragon knows no red lines. But what's happening in Xinjiang's concentration camp is an example. But what China does within its borders is one thing. What it does outside is quite another. Outside, there are red lines you simply cannot cross. Outside, there are systems in place that you cannot breach. Outside, you cannot police someone irrespective of his or her nationality. What China is doing, setting up a dragon net, is against international law. What China is doing is illegal. These police stations are illegal, and so are their activities. But one can expect this from China. It's no surprise. After all, it thrives in redrawing red lines. What about other countries? Why are they looking the other way or not speaking up? Look at some of these countries where the illegal police stations are located. Ireland, the Netherlands, Portugal, the Czech Republic, Hungary, the UK, Greece, Argentina, Canada, Brazil, Chile, the United States, Uzbekistan, Japan, Mongolia, Nigeria, Spain, France, and Italy. In fact, Italy has more than 11 such illegal Chinese police stations. The country has a Chinese diaspora of 330,000 plus. But that in no way explains why Italy is allowing the Chinese state to hound people on their land. Or for that matter, why any of these countries are doing the same. I'm assuming that the Chinese citizens living in these countries are on a valid visa. Many of them may be on asylum. They could be asylum seekers or refugees. Either way, it's the host country and its duty to protect them. But here it seems as if they are looking the other way. The Red Police is continuing to drag these people back into the dragon's net. Now, Safeguard Defenders claims that in some cases the host countries may have been complicit in the crime. That's even more worrying. Since 2018, these illegal police stations, Chinese police stations, have detected and solved some 6 criminal cases related to overseas Chinese. At least 2 of these cases took place in Europe, a continent that likes to play the torchbearer of human rights. What happened to those human rights now? Europe has left no stone unturned to sanction Russia for its war in Ukraine. But it has also been rolling out the red carpet for the Chinese police to come and torture people on European soil. Just look at the irony here. A continent that lectures the world on human rights is helping China massacre human rights. It's helping China conduct a global manhunt in going after people who in all probability are guilty of nothing, but raising the right questions. Like the many China arrested in Hong Kong. Or like this man, Wang Jingyu. In 2019, he had shown support online for the pro-democracy movement in Hong Kong. In February of 2021, he had questioned why China had waited so long to announce its Galwan death toll. And soon after, he took refuge in the Netherlands. The Chinese police alerted the illegal police station there. And then the Red Police began haunting Wang. He began getting messages such as, "Go back home." The illegal Chinese police in the Netherlands told Wang to think about his parents and return home. But Wang stayed put, and soon the messages became death threats. One of it read, "I'm going to kill you." You see, what China is doing with this Operation Dragonnet is very different from how the international criminal justice system works, or is supposed to work. When a person commits a crime in his home country and flees, the home country can request the nation where the accused has taken shelter to extradite him. Take the case of Vijay Mallya vis-à-vis India. Another option for the home country is to knock on the doors of the Interpol and request the international police to issue a red notice. What happens then? Law enforcement agents around the world look for this wanted person and arrest him or her. But China is jumping that queue. It is taking matters into its own hands and unleashing an illegal force to go after these so-called fugitives, while also keeping a close eye on the rest of the Chinese community, wherever they go, whom they interact with, where they stay. But the worst bit is that countries are allowing this to happen. Why? Because they are scared of China. Tell me one thing. Would the treatment have been same for any other country? Had this been Russia, for instance, policing its people abroad, the US President, Joe Biden, would have definitely been the first to cry human rights violations. The West would not have wasted any time in signing sanctions. Russian ambassadors would have been summoned, for all you know, even expelled. So I ask, how many Chinese ambassadors has Europe sent back? How many times have they been summoned and made to come clean on these illegal police stations? There are illegal Chinese police stations in the UK, the US and Europe, but what is the West doing about it? And why is it looking the other way? But where is the Western outrage? Why is no Western power talking about this? Why the silence?
You are absolutely right. And this is unfortunately because of the economic power of China. All the Western countries are economically so dependent from China. Let's see, for example, here in Germany, Volkswagen, they sell 40% of their cars to China. On the other hand, everything we get, like the mobile phones, everything, most of them are produced in China, even if they are from Western brands. So we are economically so dependent from China. So the West should diversify much more, have more economic connections to India, to Indonesia, to other countries. But now we are completely dependent from China, and that's exactly the reason, as you see it. If another country would do this, there would be like immediately sanctions, other things. But when it's about China, unfortunately, the most governments are afraid to do something.
Right, Adrian, thank you so much for all those insights. It's clear what you're saying. Appalling how this even works. China has set up 100 illegal Chinese police stations. The dragon is clearly expanding its reach, throwing its net in 50+ countries, and the world is silent. All because of China's economic power. And this silence is only going to embolden the dragon. Today, China is going after its own citizens abroad, hounding them to come back. It's only a matter of time before people of all nationalities are trapped in this net, before the Chinese police shows up at your doorstep too and puts you on the next flight back to China as your government looks the other way. Time for a quick break now on Gravitas. Don't go too far. On the other side, we'll tell you all about a baroness in the UK who made millions in the pandemic while the UK was struggling to breathe. On the other side, coming up. WION World is now available in your country. Download the app now and get all the news updates on the move.